everybody, Mike Spinner, Student Athlete World USA, coming at you with a very special edition of the latest spin. For those of you who have background with our company or just kind of done your homework on us, at the end of every summer's touring season, we have three awards: Athlete of the Year, Guest of the Year, which could be a parent or a traveler who's not an athlete or a coach, and Coach of the Year. And today, I have the opportunity and the privilege and the pleasure of interviewing our 2024 Coach of the Year, Gerald Stansbury out of Maryland. And Gerald, and we're friends by now, Gerald, right? We're definitely
Yeah,
friends now, right? All right,
absolutely. Yeah.
we're friends because we have some great background with Student Athlete World. You know, I was thinking back yesterday to even before we met in person, the number of conversations we had just about the kids you were bringing to us in basketball in your area of Maryland. And then when it was time to pick coaches for the first tour, I'm like, well, I'm going to pick someone who I already know. So Gerald was on the United World Games tour with me in 2023. And I view that first tour as kind of like, and you're a coach, as am I, as being like your first win is or your first big game as a coach. That's memorable, and that was a memorable tour. And 20 years from now, when I'm probably in the home stretch of my career, I'm still gonna remember my first tour with Student Athlete World. And you were a big and amazing part of that as well. And Coach of the Year this year, I find to be impressive because you were on our Costa Rica tour, and Tim Ryerson, who's the muscle of the operation, he's the tough guy. If we're talking about the Godfather, he's Vito Corleone and Michael Corleone wrapped into one. And I'm like Clemenza. I'm the guy drinking the wine and stealing the cannolis. But you have tough guy Tim on your tour, and by the way, folks, Tim is not, he's the muscle of the operation, but he's not as tough as I'm making it seem. But for you to get Coach of the Year with our president watching over your shoulder, a former college basketball coach himself, that's pretty impressive. So congratulations, Gerald. Welcome to the latest spin. And how things going since the tour?
Yeah, thanks so much, Mike. Yeah, absolutely, man. To have Tim on tour and for me to have the opportunity to win Coach of the Year is amazing. I mean, things have been going great since we came back from tour. Like, I really miss Costa Rica, obviously, because the weather was beautiful and the people and food were amazing. But now I'm just kind of trying to get settled in for my school year. But other than that, like I would love to go back to Costa Rica, and spend some more time there.
Tim, if you're listening, I think we have our first Costa Rica coach for 2025. Very good. I'm jealous because I've heard only amazing things about that tour. I have not gone yet. And so, Tim, if you're listening, just so you know, I think we're both trying out right now. Um, but I think and based on our conversations, and now we're social media friends. The thing that stands out about you the most is you have probably done more world travel than our entire coaching and administrative staff combined. It's incredible how much world travel you do. I wish I were that rich. But talk about your international travel experience, because there's a lot of it, and I think it says a lot about your desire to work with us, being that you're going to travel the world anyway. That you want to spend so much time with us. So talk about your experience as a world traveler.
So yeah, I love to travel. I love to see, new places, meet new people, learn about new cultures. At this point, I've been to 39 countries and 6 continents. I'm still trying to find a way to get to Antarctica. So, if SAWUSA ever runs any Antarctic tours, let me know. I'll definitely be the first person to sign up. But yeah, I mean, I think that SAWUSA gives a great opportunity for students or basketball players who love us, or sorry, just athletes in general who love a sport and want to explore the world. Like being able to go on tour, play a sport that you love, get to meet new people, get to eat good food, um, you know, and then grow a little bit, get outside your comfort zone and learn a little bit about some other people and some different cultures. It means a lot, and I think SAWUSA does a great job of being able to mix and marry both athletics and then cultural activities. The Costa Rica tour, I think, is a prime example. I mean, we did a lot of basketball. We played a lot of basketball. We definitely did that. But then we did a lot of, hey, let's go explore, this area and do some zip lining, or, eat this food or take this hike or see this volcano. So it's a very nice mix between athletics and then cultural activities.
Awesome. You're selling this tour to me. I'm telling you that much. But back to your travel experience. So 39 countries, 6 different continents. Do you have a favorite place you've ever visited?
It's hard to pick a favorite place because all of them have something good to offer. I mean, I probably have like a top five that I go through
Go,
over
go,
and
go
over
for
again.
it. I want to hear it.
So it would be Israel, New Zealand, Fiji, uh, Greece, and then Spain. So I mean, that would be my top five. I mean, I could live in Spain. I could live in
I
Fiji.
As you know,
Yeah.
I led the Spain Portugal two of the Spain Portugal tours this year. I feel the same way. I really love Spain. And if you're watching this, we do have our Spain Portugal tour, and for a man who's visited 39 countries and every continent but Antarctica, to say Spain is so great, that tells you that's a tour you want to look at really seriously for us as you're considering our tour options. So awesome stuff. And so you were in touch with Tim and Student Athlete World before I even joined the company. I know you were someone that Tim introduced us because you're a great resource to bring some really amazing kids our way. What brought you to Student Athlete World to begin with, like before my time with the company?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for me, like I was a high school basketball player, college basketball player, played a little bit overseas. And for me, it's always been that mix of travel and basketball. Like, I mean, I wanted to take sports abroad. So as much as I travel, it's like I will have this opportunity to coach a team internationally, right? And so when I talked to Tim and I kind of found out about the SAWUSA company, like it was exactly what I was looking for. And so me and Tim had some great conversations prior to getting the opportunity to coach. And I was lucky that I had some basketball players that are interested in playing abroad, and I was able to get some to join us in that United World Games tour. Um, but for me, it was just the connection of basketball and international travel together is exactly what I wanted and exactly what I was looking for.
Great. Well, we're certainly glad you're a part of our team. And, as you've seen and I've seen, it is exactly what you're saying. It's that perfect blend between sport and travel. And I think that's why we continue to provide great tours for our families and our coaches as well. So fantastic. And you went to Costa Rica this year, as we've seen. And again, I have not been on that tour. Just the feedback alone. Tim does this thing where he'll send me pictures of like, hey, here's a pool at the foot of an inactive volcano, like the best setting to ever swim. And like, haha, I'm here, you're not. So it was great. But talk to me about the tour, especially me having not been there myself. Just things like, you've said the food is great. Would love to hear some more about that. Your favorite excursions and any other highlights from the tour that you could think of that someone who's thinking about that tour would love to hear.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, honestly, the competition was tough. I mean, to win Coach of the Year and feel like, man, we lost some games that I felt like we could have won again another honor. But yeah, competition for basketball was tough, and I think our kids did their best and had a good time. Playing against some of these international players. I think that the highlight of the tour was probably the zip lining. I mean, I think that's part of the reason why Tim chose to join us. We zip lined through the rainforest, which was crazy. So we had a lot of basketball players and a lot of parents and guests that had never zip lined before, and so for them it was a first time experience. But everybody took it and loved it, and we got some great pictures. I would also say one of the things that's a highlight is just the organization that we worked with in Costa Rica. Costa Rica Sports. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they are very organized. We knew exactly what was going on every day that we were there, and they were able to make adjustments if they needed to. But it was just a super good group of people. Lucy was our tour guide, and she was fantastic. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
she kind of went above and beyond to the point that sometimes she was sweeping the basketball court for us and keeping the shot clock during the game. So she was doing a little bit of everything. So there's just so many good things. I mean, we talk about the food. I mean, there was never a meal where I was like, I need more food. I mean, there was just so many different options to choose from, and I was worried that our guys would be kind of sluggish because we were having so many good meals. Like every meal it was just like you felt like, oh man, this is perfect. Like I could just go take a nap after this because this is all I needed for the day. So fresh fruit, great juices, lots of rice and beans at every meal, and different types of chicken and beef. I mean, it was just phenomenal. All you could ask for as far as food goes. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm again, you're selling the tour to me. So, Tim, if you're listening, I'm raising my hand right now. Let me do this one. And then obviously, the sport component is the star of the show. We could talk about travel all day, but a lot of our prospective athletes, it's the sport element, no matter what sport, is really the hook that brings them to us. So talk about, from your perspective as both a coach and a former international player yourself, talk about the basketball, even on both tours, coaching and playing internationally, two very different settings, United World Games versus Costa Rica. But just give me as a coach a synopsis of what the basketball has been like for you during your time with us.
I mean, probably some of the best opportunities that I've ever had to coach, honestly. Like, I mean, I've coached high school, I've coached in college, and I've coached semi-professional grown men. But being able to coach internationally is just so cool and so different because sometimes you never know what you're going to expect. Like the game's a little bit different than it is in the U.S. I mean, players really rely on their skill because they may not be as athletic as some of the players that we're bringing. So they really hone in on their ability to shoot, their ability to pass, their ability to handle the basketball, and then just their strategy in general. So it really kind of elevates me as a coach in my thinking, and it really challenges me in trying to figure out how do I get a win in this environment when we haven't practiced a lot as a team. We're kind of just coming together. So to be able to coach on that stage and actually find any success, I mean, it brings a lot of joy to me, and it makes me want to keep coming back because it makes me want to try to different ideas and different ways to improve my coaching ability because it's definitely a challenge for me, but I really enjoy it. And I think from our players' perspective, getting to learn a different style of basketball really increases their basketball IQ, right? They come back from this tour and, if they play at their high school team, it's like they've had the experience of playing internationally against same thing, strategies they haven't seen before, playing for a coach they've never played for before. So it gives them a learning experience as well as far as the sport that they're playing is concerned because it's just a very different atmosphere than they're used to. UWG was amazing, and honestly, like if I'm putting plugs in, the two places I would probably choose to go back to is honestly UWG or potentially that Argentina and Brazil tour,
Mm-hmm.
because UWG gives you that opportunity to win medal, right? Win a gold, like and it's something you're striving for. And I felt like we didn't get there my first year, and I want to go back, right, and try again. And Costa Rica, again, the competition it was very tough, and we didn't come out there with as many wins as we'd like to. But again, our team came together. Like we lost one of our players before we left for tour, and then we lost a player on tour who got injured. But the guys who were left, the 8 guys that were left, came together and they really played their hearts out to try to win some games, and it was really cool to see.
Great.
So, yeah.
Great. Now, one quick correction is that we do not go to Brazil during the
Oh,
Argentina tour. We get
right.
that a lot, though. I'm not quite sure why. I think there's just an assumption. But so if you're watching it, the Argentina tour is fabulous. But just in case you're thinking we go to Brazil, we do not, or at least at this point we do not. But just wanted to, and again, we get that a lot. So just wanted to kind of point that one out. But this being an Olympic year, so everyone's eyes are on USA basketball. Did at any point you kind of just soak in the atmosphere and think to yourself, like, here I am coaching international basketball, red, white, and blue during an Olympic year, and how cool that is? Did you ever think about things that way?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the I think the playing for your country thing definitely brings the team together a little bit faster, right? Like one of the things we would say in our huddles is, you on 3 USA, and I think that for the basketball players that we had, like that also broadens their horizons while we're playing during Olympic year. They're watching, the USA team on TV, and we kind of got together and watched a couple preseason games while we were there. So I think it really ties into them, and it's like, oh man, like that's kind of like what we're doing, but on a smaller scale, right? Like we're
Mhm.
playing international basketball. And then I feel like they connected with Olympic basketball anyway, in a deeper sense because they were kind of doing the same thing, you know. And even if you were thinking of UWG, like UWG is exactly that,
Mhm.
right? We're there playing international basketball and we're trying to win medals. You know, in the Costa Rica sense, again, you're still playing international basketball, but it's just not for a medal. So I definitely think that they made that connection, and it
Mhm.
really was like something that resonated with our group. And we had, you know, some different good conversations, like who do you think the best player is on the USA team? Like who would you play? Who's your starting five? So those are the kind of conversations that we were
That's
able to have
awesome.
around the Olympics. Yeah. So
So staying on the Olympic theme for a minute. So what stood out to me, and I'm an Olympic nut, like any sport, Winter Olympics, like I could speak about curling intelligently. I can't speak about many things intelligently. So for me, that's a win. But Summer Olympics, I watch it all, and basketball fascinates me just because the international game is so different. And what I appreciated for the Olympic coverage was like Dwayne Wade as the color commentator would talk a lot about, hey, in the United States, you do it this way, internationally, you do it that way. And, we talk a lot about the high pick and roll that the international game seems kind of, it's the starting point of an offense. Just things like that. You now having coached the international game twice and you played it, can you just talk about some of the nuances? So let's say I'm a basketball player, never played international, not really familiar with the international game, or even a coach who might be thinking about going with us. Talk about some of the big nuances about the international game that you've learned as a coach for us that's different than what they're used to in the United States.
yeah, I would think particularly like when you can sub, you know, like in the US, you know, you can't sub until after the second free throw when people are shooting free throws. Here you can sub before or in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of a free throw. I think when you can call timeouts and who can call timeouts, because actually players aren't allowed to call timeouts in the national game. It's only from the coach's side. The amount of timeouts you get is a little bit less in the
Mm-hmm.
international game because they want to keep things sped up. And then the timing of the game, you know, in high school, you're playing 8 minute quarters, and in the international game, we were playing 10 minute quarters. And I think that that really affected some of our kids as far as conditioning wise, because they're not
Mm-hmm.
used to playing that extra 2 minutes. So trying to really make a good rotation and make sure guys aren't tired is a big thing to think of. And then, you know, the game is just a little bit, honestly, it's just a little bit fast paced because, again, they're relying on skill. The ball's moving, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
getting up and down the court. There's not a whole lot of isolation basketball, right? There's a whole lot of let's swing it, kick it, attack, kick it out, see if we can get a three. There's not really a whole lot of isolation basketball, which you might see in the professional game
Mm-hmm.
in the States. So it's a little bit different when it comes to that as well.
Great. And I find that fascinating just because here we're so used to the American game being like in our face like that when you see the international setting, and to be honest, both USA teams won the gold medal, but it wasn't easy. And
Yeah,
even though we had the most talent on the floor, so it really is a fascinating dynamic that I'm not quite sure exists in other sports. I feel like basketball is its own sport in that the international game has changed so much that we're in many cases struggling to keep up with that.
right.
So I think it makes our tours that much more fun because it really is a different and unique basketball challenge. Very cool. So think about the two tours that you've done with us. Is there one thing that really stands out the most that kind of comes to the top of your head? Like if someone were to come to you right now and say, talking about Student Athlete World USA, what's the first thing that would come to mind?
I mean, just the again to go back to the togetherness, you know, like I mean, the amount of camaraderie that comes from supporting your country in a sport, right? It's one thing if you're just going internationally and traveling and kind of seeing, you know, seeing a location. It's different when you're there as a unit to try to accomplish one goal, right? You know, the fact that these players from different countries, I mean, sorry, different states are coming together for the first time in an international space and really getting to know each other and really bonding together. I mean, they have formed kind of lifetime bonds at this point. Like those guys still, you know, keep in touch with each other after now. They keep in touch with each other after the tour is over with, right? You know, they're still sending me messages, hey, coach, this is what we're doing in our high school, you know, so it's great to see that connectivity. I definitely think that it provides an opportunity for athletes to bond and grow and then also just to kind of open their world up. And so it's really special, I think, to see that aspect of them coming together in such a short period of time.
Love it. Love it. I fully agree. Having now done 3 tours, it's amazing how quickly someone becomes family when you're with them in this type of environment. I talk about that all the time with our family. So could not agree more. Now, if you had to give one piece of advice to a prospective athlete or prospective family who's thinking about traveling with us, one pearl of wisdom based on your experience with us, what would it be?
One thing, sign up early. Like the sooner you get on a team, the better, because SAWUSA is growing, and tours are just popping out, and they're running out of space. So I would say definitely sign up early. But as far as once you're on tour, I mean, just enjoy it, like soak it up. Like the sport part is fantastic, but just appreciate the fact that you are in an international destination, and who knows when you're gonna get that opportunity to do that again.
Great. Love it. I could not agree more. And lastly, we'll close on this. And for you personally, we've talked about our different tours. If it were your decision and you were saying, here's the tour I want for 2025, because Coach of the Year, obviously, we want you to come back with us. Which tour would it be and why?
I think it would be that Argentina tour. Argentina is a space that I've been wanting to go to for a while. I haven't been to that country before, so I'd love to put that on the list. And then I just from following you guys on social media, like it looks like that tour, um, athletic wise, is fantastic, right? Like the
Absolutely.
competition seems like it's stiff, like it's something that again for me would be a challenge, and I'd really be interested in that challenge. But then also just the places that they go. I mean, like the pictures from Argentina are just gorgeous, and it's like, yeah, I could go there. I could hang out there. So that would be it. That would be my bid. Yeah.
Well, let's work together to make it happen because you've been fantastic for us these last 2 years. So we'll talk more behind the scenes, but what I could say, my impression is Argentina might be our most competitive basketball tour. And we have 5 tours coming this year. We tend to send older players because Argentina is a basketball powerhouse, just like the United States. And so certainly if you are a college player or you're entering your freshman year of college even, and you're looking for an amazing athletic and travel experience, Argentina is certainly a tour that I know I endorse based on our experience with that tour. So let's do it. And we'll talk more offline about that. But for now, Gerald Stansbury, first, congratulations again on being our coach of the year. And thank you, as always, for all the time you give our company. And for the rest of you, if you had a chance to watch this video and you want to travel with us as an athlete or a coach, there's only one way to do it. Go to studentathleteworld.com, complete your application. If you're an athlete, the application's on the homepage. If you're a coach, just studentathleteworld.com/coach. Complete your application, interview with me, and pack your bags. And that's the whole process with us. Gerald, thank you so much. We wish you nothing but the best for the coming school year and basketball season. And let's keep in touch about Argentina, all right?
Sounds great, Mike. Thanks so much, man. I really appreciate you guys.
Pleasure's all ours. We'll talk soon. Enjoy the rest of your summer.
All right. Thank you, man.